Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is my take on the astrological outlook for November 2023. And as always, you determine how you want to use these energies that I'm describing. I do use the whole house system when I do these predictions, and I use the ascendant mainly, but you can look at your sun sign too, just to get some extra information as well. And it really is what resonates with you, right? So we have a new moon in Scorpio, we have Saturn going direct, and we have a full moon in Gemini this month. We start off with Saturn going direct, and it will be going direct on the 4th of November at 0 degrees of Pisces. And of course, 0 degrees of any sign is a critical degree, and it really represents sort of like a ushering in this new energy. And the new energy we're talking about, of course, is Pisces and Saturn in that energy, right? So it's starting Saturn on its official path forward in the sign of Pisces once again, although remember we did have it initiated in March of 2023. So this is positive, right? Saturn represents the rules. It represents things like it's about time. It represents karma. So ushering in this new energy at the beginning of the month can indicate those types of things, can also indicate new rules and regulations, generally speaking, right? On the 5th of November, interestingly, we have this third quarter moon, which is the moon really before it becomes the new moon, right? And it is at 12 degrees of Leo. And recall, in September, we had Venus going direct at what? 12 degrees of Leo. So for those folks that really made some strides forward with regards to, relationships, money, values, whether it was to end some way of doing these, either of these or any of these three things, or all of these three things, this is kind of a supportive energy that says, hold on here, hold on to me as we head towards that new moon and your official start again in whatever it is that you've wanted to make new, right? Now, in most cases, I'm thinking of those folks that either established a new relationship or a new way of doing a relationship in September. This gives you support for that. Now, it can bring it the support in like a one last test, or an understanding inside yourself that, yeah, I made the right decision. That type of thing, that type of energy can come in prior to the new moon, because it's at that point that Venus went direct early in September, right? So that's interesting that it actually falls on the same day as this quarter moon that we turn our clocks back. Now, the 9th of November, we have Mercury sextiling Pluto. Well, this brings in some opportunities, positive opportunities, to make some sort of discussions, powerful discussions with powerful people. On the 10th and the 11th of November, we have that Mercury, though, squaring Saturn. And so this is kind of the opposite of that. It's potentially, I'm thinking more on a collective or global level, ignoring the rules and regulations and just making a decision and announcing that you're going to do it your way. That's that whole Mercury square Saturn here, right? Kind of disobeying the parents, ignoring the rules and regulations. So that's the 10th and 11th of November. So this leads up and ushers into our first new moon in Scorpio. So Happy New Year to all my Scorpio folks, including my daughter Allison. Her birthday is very close to this, so she's got her newness for this new moon is going to last for the whole year for her. And so this new moon in Scorpio on the 13th of November is at 20 Scorpio, 43 minutes at 1:26 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, the ruler of this moon, there are two of them. The modern one, of course, is Pluto, And the more ancient one, of course, is Mars. And so we always look to see, well, where are both of these planets? Because they will influence that moon in Scorpio. So the good thing is we have Pluto as direct, and it's at 28 degrees of Capricorn. Now, this isn't really a sextile. It's what you call a wide sextile, but at least it's positive from the standpoint that a wide sextile is formed and that Pluto is direct. Now, Mars we see at 22 of Scorpio. Well, it conjuncts that moon and the sun. Now, what this can bring in, if you have this degree point aspected in your chart, the 22 degrees of Scorpio, 21, 22, 23, this is going to be opposite to the Taurus Uranus. And so at its best, this positive side of this energy can bring in almost like this breaking of chains. So it's like you've been maybe working hard to change something, to get somewhere, putting lots of effort in. And this new moon says, oh, I can feel myself breaking free of this and moving forward. So that's the best way that this energy can play out. The more negative side of this, of course, if you look at just straight Mars, a fighter and feisty and aggressive, opposite unexpected explosions and energy, Uranus. In opposition, these two planets can literally create an explosion. And that could play out in something like earthquakes, for instance, volcanoes, that type of thing. But it can also play out, again, I think collectively, in unexpected fighting, probably like military. Mars does represent the military too, right? So there may be a lot of fighting that goes on. Scorpio is very much a secretive sign, and it's really aspected strongly here, not just by the moon and the sun, but also by the fact that Mars is also in Scorpio, opposing that Uranus. So there may be some unexpected things that pop up at this time that can also be psychological, because Scorpio also represents the psychological side of ourselves too. And Scorpio does represent money too, right? So there could be some unexpected new start. Maybe the Fed in the USA will announce that they're going to reduce the interest rates, and we can see mortgages coming more up to be taken by folks and getting homes. And that's all possible. But I see this more as more aggressive moves of some sort, more on a collective level. But remember, there's a positive side too. We have Venus that is in Libra will be sextiling Mercury. Now, Mercury is just, if you look at the chart that I put up, Mercury is just in around 4 degrees or so of Sagittarius. And I can tell you that that's a good thing. I know it's in its detriment and not necessarily positive when we look at it individually. But the fact that we have Mercury just outside the auspices of Mars, but in a different sign, in a very positive, forward thinking, future thinking, optimistic frame of mind, right? So if we take this whole Mercury side of it in Sagittarius, it's positive thinking. So I'm thinking that this also new moon could have, I almost see it as a background sort of noise where there are people trying hard to see a better future, right? Because Sagittarius can represent seeing into the future as well. It also represents, religious beliefs, philosophical beliefs. So this could have a discussion of those things going on, in addition to the more assertive and potentially aggressive side of this new moon. So I like that. And the fact that it's Venus, and in Venus in Libra really speaks to diplomatic relations. So don't doubt that there's also the diplomatic relations going on, seeking harmony and seeking balance in the background. We have Saturn in a wide sextile to Pluto. Again, these are positive energies. This is opportunities for folks in power to talk about the rules and the regulations. Maybe even to talk about karma, right? And then we've got Saturn widely square that whole Mercury. So this says I'm sticking my heels in the ground, that's Saturn with the square, with regards to how I think about this and the way I'm going to talk about it, but especially how I think about this. So it's like diplomacy being offered to you and you're saying, yeah, but my religious beliefs are very important and I'm not going to budge on them. So there's this back and forth, right? Now, interestingly also, and this sort of in me ties up the new moon in a positive way. We have the moon, we have the sun, and we have Mars, all in Scorpio, trining Neptune. I know Neptune is retrograde at this time, but what does this say to me? One word: hope. Hope and inspiration is also existing in this new moon that has a lot of aggressive stuff to it. It also speaks to, hope with regards to philosophical beliefs. Can we come to the middle ground and talk? So if any of you have something going on like this, where there's a difference in sort of philosophical beliefs, even religious beliefs, this trine is going to really put some positive energy into you being inspired that, well, maybe there is a middle ground after all. On the 22nd and the 23rd of November, we have another sextile, and that's going to be Mars sextiling Pluto. And remember, Pluto is direct at this time. But we're also going to have a square, and that's going to be Mars continuing to square Saturn. And so it's like these two energies, I saw it almost like a seesaw back and forth, and maybe in the collective world of ours, we're going to see that. That energy is put into trying to change, positions, people in power. But at the same time, you've got energy being put into keeping things the same. But I'll tell you, if you use that Mars square Saturn in a positive way, it means working hard to put these rules and regulations in place. It means working hard to make this the time to make those changes. Right, next we're going to have the full moon in Gemini. And this full moon is at 4 Gemini, 51 minutes, on the 27th of November at 1:17 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So for Geminis, this is a wrap-up. This is an ending of some sort. This is a culmination where things that you started maybe 6 months ago, you can see wrapping up. And as I always say in my videos, just because it's a full moon doesn't mean something's going to be bad and it's going to end. It could be that you're wrapping up some big project and you can see the end of it. Maybe even some writing project. We see Gemini as writing, communications. It can also refer to diplomacy as well. So this could also see, a wrap up in that area too, not only in a collective global level, but for you individually. So the ruler of Gemini is Mercury, of course. And it is in opposition to Sagittarius. So we have it at 24 Sagittarius. And of course, this is squaring that Neptune at 24 of Pisces. So this says we've got to work hard here. Work hard, and I say this is probably an international component because Sagittarius also rules foreign things, foreign places. But it's also like our philosophies too. And then Neptune can also be more along perhaps like the spiritual religious side, but Sagittarius can be too. So I see there's going to be a clash here with regards to how I think, how I communicate about my philosophies and beliefs. And that's kind of a big sort of theme for this full moon in Gemini. We could even see collectively people standing up in a pulpit, espousing these and saying how important they are. Certainly it's important to communicate, but of course the next word to use is negotiate. And there's potential here, but there's a lot of, again, using that sort of sentence of digging our heels in, to try to see both sides, right? And that's the other thing about Gemini. It really is asking you to include other people and to see their point of view. And so this full moon is going to be focusing on a lot of that, working with others so that everyone can benefit here. Hearing, right? Both sides and thinking through, Gemini, what you should say, where there's a coming together as opposed to a coming apart. When we look at Mercury, again, it's trining the north nodes in Aries. So this is very positive. It's let's talk about our future as a group, right? Let's talk about that. And let's put something new in place. That's Aries. Aries is saying, let's move forward with something new here. We can be individuals, but let's do it in a harmonious way. We have the sun is going to be conjuncting Mars. And of course, then, because it's a full moon, both the sun and Mars will be opposite to the moon. And so this could bring in a little bit of assertive energy with regards to people speaking, maybe some people speaking out of turn. Remember that Gemini is an air sign, and so it's not like this fiery, a fire sign where I'm not going to give up what I think and what I want to say, even though this does emphasize that speaking out of turn in some respects. Gemini puts a lighter tone on the whole thing, right? And so this is, I believe, someone, stating what they think and putting it in words. Maybe standing up, presenting, that type of thing. And in fact, that type of aspect could have some people individually, if this full moon at 4 or 5 degrees of Gemini affects you, you could make maybe some effective presentation at this time, or present your case at this time from documents that you've written, right? We have Venus conjuncting the South Node. So this is wonderful too. South Node types of things, we like to say letting go of them. And of course, it supports the fact that a full moon says endings and letting go. And so this says to me that there's a request here from the universe to ask you to let go of old ways of doing relationship, of perhaps your money, but it's also referring to our values. And I also see this as, women could be in the mix here. So I think that this is letting us all know that we can do things differently with regards to those areas. So that's love, relationships, money, and our values. And it really emphasizes, in my mind, as last month we had that whole yod, right, pointing at this South Node. This may be a wrap-up of some of us individually letting go of relationships, letting go of old ways of doing relationships and embracing new ones. But maybe also our money too. That let go of old ways of dealing with your money and put ones in place that give you better balance in your life. Because that South Node, of course, is in Libra, which is all about balance and harmony, right? So staying with Venus conjuncting that North Node, it goes right the way through the 30th of November 2023 as an exact. So it's an important thing that I've just spoken about. Well, good luck to everybody in November. When we look at December, yay, we have that Neptune going direct. But we do have a Mercury retrograde, and it's an interesting Mercury retrograde because it's going to start in very conservative Capricorn, but spend a lot of its time in future-oriented, optimistic, positive, risk-taking Sagittarius. And speaking of Sagittarius, you will have a new moon there, full moon in Cancer. And of course, that full moon in Cancer is the second full moon. That's unusual in a year. I'll talk about that next month. And then we have Jupiter going direct, literally the last day of December, the 31st of December, 2023. All right, talk about that more next month for you guys, right? So let's now move on to the ascendants or sun signs, whatever resonates with you. And we're going to start off with you, Scorpio. Again, a happy new year to all my Scorpio clients as well as viewers. Now, we have that Scorpio new moon, of course, in your first house. So this is all about new beginnings. You know, last month, and depending when you're listening to this, we may not have had that final eclipse in Taurus at 5 degrees on 28th of October. But it's like you've had that kind of wrap up in your 7th house, Scorpio. And now you've got this new energy rushing in for you. So for some Scorpios, this may be almost you having a sigh of relief that you've put something behind you with regards to partnerships, whether it's business, marriage, clients, or any other that you've had to deal with. Typically, it's people you sign a contract with. But it's a new start for you, Scorpio. You do have the support, I guess, in some respects, of that Mars that's making you a little feisty, because Mars is going to be conjuncting the moon and sun in your sign. But remember, as I mentioned, Mercury is in the 1st degrees of Sagittarius, sextiling that Venus for you. And so it to me, that says there is opportunities to speak through some kind of harmony, as well as some kind of diplomacy where everyone gets their fair share here. And I'm just feeling that as an intuitive thing for some Scorpios. But it's a new start for you. Yeah, and that's positive just in itself. So that full moon in Gemini is going to be in your 8th house, Scorpio. And the positive side of that is that Scorpio, as a sign, rules the 8th house. So this just says really that there may be some wrap up with regards to something to do with your investments. Maybe you'll finally pay off that tax bill that you've had hanging around. Maybe you'll take a new view of how you process things psychologically. You could be ending some kind of therapy of some sort in a positive way. It's Gemini, so it certainly is communications and working with others. So it could have, for some folks, wrapping up, say, a writing project that you are working with other people, and it could be behind the scenes, because the 8th house, very much like the 12th house, is kind of more behind the scenes. It could have, for other folks, have some secrets come to light here, right? Take care, Scorpio. All right, for Sagittarius. So this new moon in Scorpio is in your 12th house. And I'll be honest with you, because Mars is involved here in a conjunction with that new moon and sun, it could just be stirring up some stuff for you. Maybe some secret will come to life. So secrets pop out in both the 8th house as well as the 12th house. At its best, though, this can bring a new start to you with regards to maybe your inner thoughts and how you've been viewing the world psychologically. Maybe you're going to start to delve into the secrets of the universe, the metaphysical world. That would be a great way, by the way, to use this whole new moon in Scorpio in your 12th house. It can also, though, have, for other Sagittarians, working behind the scenes for some reason, or being involved behind the scenes in places that are hidden places. So this could be hospitals, ashrams, government offices, prisons, that sort of thing, or just generally speaking, working behind the scenes in something new. This would be a great time, Sagittarius, if you really feel you need a rest and you need to recuperate, to go to a place to do that, whether it's an ashram or some kind of health place that can help rejuvenate your body. So the full moon in Gemini, of course, is opposite your sign. So this brings to light a partner, whether it's a business partner, a marriage partner, or any other. It can be clients too. Now it's an opposition, so it means that you're going to have to deal with something that's going on with those folks. It can be all of those things that I mentioned, or it can just be one of them. But you're going to have to deal with something to do with the 7th house partnerships. And because it's in Sagittarius, it could be something to do with their future or your future as a couple. And there may be some ending here of some sort. And because the full moon itself is in Gemini, at least we're saying it's discussions between the two of you. And like I said, it doesn't have to necessarily be marriage. It could also be business partnerships, clients, and any other either. You know, it could be you having discussions with a lawyer that you've had for years or a financial advisor, and you want to say goodbye to them. You don't like what they've been doing for you, and you feel you can do better. So don't think it's all just one area here, Sagittarius, right? But typically we talk about the 7th house as partnerships. Good luck, Sagittarius. Capricorn, this new moon favorably sextiles your sign in Scorpio, and it involves your 11th house. So this literally could have you, Capricorn, developing new relationships of some sort that are friendships, a new relationship with groups that you belong to or that you want to belong to. Maybe you're going to be given opportunities to, get entrance to a group that you've not had a chance to get into at this point. But new friends should be coming your way for sure, or at least you're going to have the opportunities to do that. The other thing that this rules too, of course, is your hopes and wishes. So for some Capricorns, you may get opportunities, to see some of your hopes and wishes come true here. Now, Scorpio does rule the psychological sides of ourselves, but it also rules money, especially other people's money. So maybe some money thing is involved here too. Maybe you've wanted to earn more money in your business. That's also the 11th house, by the way. And you start this new beginning, this new initiative that sees more money coming your way. The full moon in Gemini is in your 6th house. So the 6th house is a health house. It's also your day-to-day job. If you don't work, it's your day-to-day activities. So it says to me, there's some kind of culmination here. Maybe you're going to make a decision that you want to leave the job that you're in. And you decide to put together some kind of communication saying that, right? Because we're talking about Gemini here, that full moon. It can also be the culmination or ending of maybe bad health that you've had. And you can see the end of it now, that whatever you've been doing to implement good health is now paying off for you. And it's a pleasant ending for you, that the bad health is behind you. For others, it could be some kind of communication, maybe some kind of group effort that you've been working on. You can finally put the final touches to, and you can say, wow, okay, guys, we've produced the document and it's all done. That could also be something. If you don't work, it could be, like I said, the things that you do day to day, you decide to change them up. Or for some reason, it ends. Like say you belong to a book club or something like that, and then a couple people in that book club decide they don't want to participate anymore, and it closes down. And you have to look at a new way of what you do day to day. All right, take care, Capricorn. Aquarius, this new moon in Scorpio squares your sign, and it squares the 10th house. So it just says to me that you're going to have to probably work hard at challenges presented to you in your career. It's also your reputation and your social standing as well. It could just be that you've got to incorporate more demands from, say, your supervisors that you maybe didn't expect. And it's a challenge for you. And I say, seek out potential assistance from those above you if you really can't do what you're being asked to do. And just remember to remain open-minded with regards to what the solution could be. And in fact, that square could represent putting together some solutions, presenting it to those above you, and say, I need some help here, but I've done some creative thinking with regards to these challenges, and I'm offering these to you to help me do this. Squares don't mean things are going to be bad for you. It just means that you're going to have to work creatively and maybe a little extra hard at solving them. Now with Scorpio potentially could be money, but it's also our psychological selves. And again, Scorpio is kind of hidden. So it could be, for some Aquarians, that whatever this challenge is in your career isn't necessarily out in the open. And you might have to do a bit of investigating to find out why this is happening. And that's okay, because we got that full moon coming up in Gemini, which is all about collecting facts. So both those moons together may be you meeting a challenge in your career where you have to collect facts and information to present to those in power, right? I'm getting that real strongly here for some Aquarians. Because that full moon in Gemini will trine your sign, Aquarius, and that's very positive, and it's the 5th house of creativity. It's other things too, but I'm trying to tie in the 10th and the 5th house here. And the 5th house also represents your own business. So if by chance some Aquarians here are trying to make headway in their own business, and they find at the beginning of the month there's lots of challenges with that regard, know that towards the end of November, you're going to have big support here. And because it's Gemini, it certainly says be open to other people's potential ideas. And if you can do that, you may end the difficult challenge that you're having and embrace this, say, new business that you're putting together. It can also represent the 5th house, children. So there may be something happening with regards to your children that comes to light for you. It's a trine, so it's not going to be a difficult thing. Maybe something happens with regards to one of your children having worked really hard, say at some sport, and it results at the end of November in them getting some kind of big prize or first prize for something, or even second prize. All those are good, right? The other thing, of course, is new love. Now, it's a full moon, so we always say kind of culminations and endings. So it literally could be that for some Aquarians, that you decide in a positive way to end a relationship. It's a full moon, so I don't want to really say it's the beginning of a new relationship, but this is what it could be the beginning of. It could be the beginning of letting go of a way of doing something in a relationship that you do at the full moon in Gemini. That could renew your relationship. Good luck to you, Aquarius. So for Pisces, that new moon is in a fellow water sign. So we know that it trines you. And the new moon in Scorpio trines your 9th house. So the 9th house really says to me, I always think of meaning in life. And for sure, there's going to be some Pisces that are going to be given opportunities in spades for meaning in life. So that's something really positive to think about. For others, it's just going to be this real chance to go on that lovely trip that you've wanted to take, or travel of some sort. Mostly we talk about the 9th house as travel, say overseas, certainly at a distance. For other Pisces, you may be starting a whole new advanced degree of some sort and get the opportunity come your way to do that. It's also the law, the 9th house. And so if there are some Pisces that are dealing with some legal situation, this is a positive outcome and a new start for you. Now the full moon in Gemini squares your sign, and it is in the 4th house. So what's the 4th house? The 4th house we really talk about first. It's your home, the one you're in right now, the one you might want to buy, your childhood home. It's your mother, and by extension, your family, as well as your habits. So one or all of these things could come up at this time. And it's a square, so it means there's going to be some challenges to one or more of these areas. I'm thinking just straight off, because you're Pisces, certainly check out any water things in your home. I mean, that I just got that as an intuitive hit. Is if there's anything small, even a dripping faucet, just get it taken care of, right? Before it turns into something more than that. And I think there's some Pisces that are going to be putting a comment in there telling me that's exactly what this brought up. The other thing is that it can bring up challenges working with groups or other people, right? Challenges maybe, say you're redoing something in your home and you've got to work with a group of people doing different disparate things in your home to put in this new addition to your home. It just means there's going to be some challenges. So look, I'm making this in October. If that's the case for some Pisces, start thinking through how you can effectively communicate as well as effectively commit people. So we're talking about contracts here too, right? And of course, Gemini can refer to contracts as well, anything written. For others, it might just be you have a writer's block where you don't seem to be able to maybe work in the home because there's too much noise going on and your writing is affected by it. So again, think that through now. So don't wait for it to actually happen. Think creatively about maybe going somewhere that's quiet, or ferret out some places that might be quiet that you can go to do your writing, right? Take care, Pisces. All right, Aries. Aries, that new moon in Scorpio is in your 8th house. So this is new beginnings in shared resources, investments, new beginnings with regards to your psychological self. Maybe for some Aries, you've decided to start some psychotherapy of some sort, and it's very positive for you. And with Mars close by, it can really get you activated and moving forward, maybe really making headway with regards to your psychological self. It can also bring in serious relationships, the 8th house. So there might be some new start in a serious relationship that's kind of exciting, that gets you in a positive way moving forward. It's mainly a money house, so it just could have you looking at some of your investments and seeing, how well they're doing. It could literally have a male come in here, maybe as a financial advisor, that gives you some advice that's new with regards to your investments that you decide to take. Now that full moon in Gemini, lovely sextile to you, and it's in your 3rd house. So the 3rd house is communications, and of course Gemini rules that 3rd house. So it's all about communications here, Aries. And I would say, just on the surface, this is somebody wrapping up some big project. Maybe it's a proposal that you've done. Maybe it's a book that you've written. Maybe it's just some kind of short course that you finally put the final touches to, and you can say it's ready for launching. But communications are definitely a focus here. You could end a way that you were communicating before, that you just get this aha moment and say, I don't like the way I've been communicating. Or you've taken, say, a course of some sort, or maybe that psychological new start that you've made with a therapist is revealing to you the ways you've been communicating, and you say, I've got to change that up, and you decide to do that at the full moon to end the old way of communicating and now introduce new ones. It can also indicate a wrap-up, say, with regards to siblings or even your neighborhood. Maybe you were involved in some kind of, in your neighborhood, I'm thinking maybe a neighborhood watch group that you were involved with, and you've put your time in that, and this is the time when you just say, okay, I've done my time, I'm now going to stop doing this, someone else can step in for me. It could be a wrap-up with regards to groups that you've been working in, or other people, even if it's just one other person, that there's a wrap-up here. Maybe you've been working with somebody to put together some kind of big communication plan for your, and this could, literally go down to things like the internet and computers and that as well, by the way. And you finish the project with this group or this other person, and it's positive for you. Take care, Aries. All right, Taurus. So this new moon, of course, in Scorpio is opposite your sign. And I really felt, because we've got the influence of Mars here as well, opposite your sign, Taurus, I just got this as the final showdown, that a solution is finally arrived at, and it predicates a new start. So it's like something will happen, and then you'll say, oh yeah, but I can have this new start now. You've also got Uranus still in your sign, of course, and positively you've got Jupiter in there too. So Jupiter adds protection, don't ever forget that, right? And also it offers you a new view of your future. So that may all come in here for you, Taurus, or at least for some Taurians. But it could also just have this whole seventh house of yours that's lit up. You have a partner, say it's a business partner, that decides to have a new start, to go their own way. And you're freed up at this time. But it can literally also have the other side of it, where you have a new start with, say, a business partnership at this time. That would be very positive, with the assistance of Mars there. For others, it could just be that there's a new start with regards to, say, a marriage. Now, this could result in some unexpected decision on your part, because that's Uranus in your sign, Taurus, that you present to your partner, your business partner or your marriage partner, that has your partner reacting in some way and saying, okay, well, this is the new start. Hopefully, for some Taurians, it's a new start in an existing partnership or marriage that's really positive, where you feel movement forward. It also can do with clients and, of course, any other. And the other could be, lawyers, government officials. So certainly make sure that you take care of anything that might be presented to you from others, right? Well, hopefully most of my Taurian viewers and clients survived that eclipse on the 28th of October. And that even though it was a full moon eclipse, it freed you up to move forward with your lives. So the full moon in Gemini is in your second house. So this is an ending with regards to a source of income. Just straight on the surface, I would say there's going to be some Taurians that just leave a job and that income ends. For others, it could be a time where you end, and it might be associated with leaving a job, the way people value you. Where you say, I've had enough of this. I'm worth more than this, and I'm going to seek out a job that truly values me. And it values me in a concrete way, where it offers me the money that I feel I deserve. It's also possessions too on one level. So it could have some Taurians, giving up some of their possessions. Now, it is in Gemini, so there's some form of communications around whatever it is that you're doing. So even though it's a full moon, it could have you negotiating. That's what I'm thinking. So it's like you're fed up with being treated the way you're treated and not being given enough money. And you use that full moon to stop that. But you also enter into negotiations, maybe negotiating your contract to earn more money. Or maybe even end a job that you're doing, but stay in the same company, and you're negotiating that. I'm getting a real feeling of contracts here with regards to Taurians and that full moon in Gemini. It's also communications, right? Just generally speaking. So it could just have you receiving communications as well, right? Maybe receiving communications about this other source of income that means you have to end your present form of income. I mean, all Taurians are up for a final movement forward on a whole new path of their lives, right? As a result of all the eclipses and the north nodes being in Taurus. They're not there now, but they were. So there was a lot of dust kicked up for many Taurians. And this is more the settling of the dust, all right? Take care, Taurus. Well, Gemini, you've got your full moon at the end of the month, but we're going to start off, first of all, with that new moon in Scorpio, and it is in your sixth house. Well, that's fabulous. So for some Geminis, you're going to see a whole new official start to health. So for those Geminis that have had poor health, look forward to this new moon as things having, it's like the up and up with regards to your health. Now, it could also have some Geminis deciding, you know what, I'm going to take a new course here with regards to the way I work out, the way I nurture myself with, either nurture yourself with regards to what do you put in your body, but also what you put into your mind, right? Maybe examining that and changing things up there. For still others, it could have some kind of new start in your day-to-day job. And if you don't work right now, it's what you do day to day that maybe you decide, I want to do something different here. And Scorpio is like the metaphysical side of life. So it might be some Geminis decide, I'm going to take up some of these metaphysical things. I've always liked to work with a shaman. I'm going to do that. I'm going to communicate with them and see what I can set up and do something like that. For others, it might be something as simple as getting a new pet that you communicate with, as you have some kind of, communication with this pet that you really feel bound to. That's a pleasant way to use this new moon as well. But I would say that in terms of health and that, the Scorpio part of it really supports a new start in your psychological health, Gemini. So that's all positive. So the full moon in Gemini, of course, is in your first house, Gemini. So this is some kind of wrap up from, say, 6 months ago. And it could literally be in something to do with writing, communications. Your siblings could be part of this too. Your neighborhood could be part of it as well. Or there's some just wrap up here. And I get it as a gentle wrap up. I don't get this as anything jarring for you, Gemini. You too could decide that the way you communicate or how you've been communicating, who you've been communicating with, you want to stop. And maybe that's literally with regards to siblings and neighbors, that you decide you don't want to communicate with them anymore for whatever reason, that it's better for you not to. But also, Gemini, this is all about writing projects too. So it could have you maybe putting the final, dotted I and cross the T on some big writing project. Maybe it's a proposal you've been doing. Maybe it's a thesis you've been doing. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's some kind of course that you've put together for your company that you finish up at this time and you're able to present it for publishing. Take care, Gemini. All right, Cancer. So that new moon in Scorpio is in a fellow water sign, so it trines your sign, positive energy, right? And it's your fifth house. So the fifth house represents a number of things. So you could see a new start with regards to, say, your children in your life. It could be a new start for you in love. It could be a new start for you in your own business, or maybe literally starting your own business. You'll have Mars supporting you with the moon and the sun, right, in that new moon in Scorpio. But it could also bring up a new start in a new creative project of some sort. And for those Cancers that say, do want children, this could be some of them getting pregnant at this time, if that's something that you want, because that fifth house rules children too. But the fifth house also rules having fun and games, right? Especially games of chance. So this may be, Cancer, a new moon that ushers in a lot more fun for you, right? A lot more amusement type things and happy times with people around you, especially your children. When we look at that full moon, though, in Gemini, that's in your 12th house, Cancer. And so I really feel this, because Gemini represents your thoughts, communications, it has you maybe literally thinking more about how you communicate. Maybe how you've been communicating with your neighbors, maybe your siblings, and you decide to spend some time thinking about how can I make those better. It could literally be one of your siblings or neighbors has to go to a hidden place. And that hidden place could be a hospital. It could be an ashram. It could be a government offices involved, prisons involved. It doesn't mean that you personally are going to be going into these for something you have. It just means that you may have to actively go in there. If it's, say, your sibling, for instance, or a neighbor that you've got to help out. Maybe someone hurts themselves and you've got to take them to the hospital. And that's what this full moon involves, that they communicate with you and you have to take them into the hospital and maybe hang around and maybe go in to see them a few times because they don't have anyone around them in the neighborhood to help them out. That sort of thing. But, that 12th house also could say that you need a rest, Cancer, and maybe going to an ashram or even a health farm type thing that really nurtures you and takes care of you. Cancer is a sign. You tend to like to help everybody and nurture everybody. Literally give the shirt off your back. And maybe this full moon is going to be a wake-up call to say you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to get some rest. And just get some rest and to take care of yourself. That could be the same thing, right, for Cancers. It could also, for some other Cancers, working behind the scenes with regards to communications. I mean, literally maybe putting together some computer programs for your company. And at the full moon, you say, done. I've got it all done for you guys. But the 12th house is behind the scenes for sure. It could have you literally reading too and writing about some kind of metaphysical subjects too. So there's lots of stuff that could be affected here, Cancer. Take care of yourself, Cancer. All right, Leo. So Leo, what's interesting for me is that you've got that 3rd house square that's coming up, that's leading up to the new moon. And it's at 12 degrees of Leo. And so, as I mentioned at the earlier part of this video, that 12 degrees of Leo is the degree point that at Venus that was retrograde went forward at the beginning of September. So for some Leos, this is just an activation of that. The decisions that you made at the beginning of December with regards to some kind of love relationship are being accented again. And it's like it's taking you by the hand, leading you to that new moon, to a whole new start in your love life. For others, it could have something to do with your money, because Venus can deal with money and your values as well. And it can be all three of these, right? But it's an activation of whatever happened at that first week in September with regards to love, money, your values. In particular for you, Leo. Now, when we look at that new moon in Scorpio, it squares your sign in the 4th house. So right off the bat, I'm thinking that you just might have some psychological blocks with regards to fixing something in the home. Maybe you're renovating something in the home and you have to think outside the box to make it easier for yourself. That's what I'm getting as a straight off here. But for other Leos, it could be that your mother or your family are presenting challenges for you, or maybe they're having challenges and you have to step in to help them with those challenges as well. For others, it could be you've got roommates that, are causing you some stress, and that maybe you need to have discussions with them, and it's a difficult thing to do. But that peace has to reign in your home, and that you have to take the initiative maybe to have some conversations that are difficult at this time. For others, it might be that you're trying to buy a new home, and it's not so easy. I mean, we know the mortgage rates are really high right now, and so it has you working hard to get the best mortgage rate you can to buy that lovely home and qualify for that lovely home that you want. But they are new starts for you. It just means that anything to do with the home, mother, or family just may require you to think outside the box and just put a little more effort into it. Do that, and everything should be fine for you for the new starts, Leo. Now, that full moon in Gemini nicely sextiles your sign, Leo. And it's in the 11th house. So this is potentially new friends being developed, new groups that you decide you want to belong to, new initiatives in getting money for those Leos that have their own business, right? Because that 11th house does rule that too. It could also have you having some opportunities to have maybe a wish of yours, a desire of yours, a dream come true. And it could come through because it's Gemini, right? It doesn't matter that it's a full moon. It's Gemini, so some communication comes through. You know, I'm just getting this inspiration and intuition that maybe for some Leos, you've submitted, maybe some time ago, a photograph or a poem or anything like that for a competition, and you get notification at this full moon that you've won. That would be an awesome way to use this energy. Or that a group that you belong to, right, the 11th house, nominates you and communicates with you and says, would you lead our group? Would you be the director for the next year, or the president or vice president of our group for the next year? Would you lead us? Because Leo, you are a leader at this time, right? You like to lead and you're very creative. So especially if it's related to any kind of creative project that they want you to lead, really consider it carefully, because that could be wonderful for you. All right, take care of yourself, Leo. So Virgo, that new moon in Scorpio nicely sextiles you, and it involves the 3rd house. And it's interesting because the full moon is in Gemini, and that's about communications. And the 3rd house is about communications. So for you, Virgo, the whole month is going to revolve around some kind of communication, some kind of writing project, big or small. Let's start off here with this new moon in Scorpio, sextiling your 3rd house. So right off the bat, you're going to get towards the 2nd week of November, some opportunity coming your way to probably write something, write a proposal maybe, to write maybe some psychological novel of some sort, detective novel even, or maybe even a short story, because it's Scorpio, and Scorpio rules the underworld, right? It also rules anything like detective type work too. So for some Virgos, you may have to do some detective work with regards to gathering information and putting it all together in a form that makes sense. Whatever way it is, Virgo, it's going to be a positive opportunity for you, and communications are going to be involved, and or writing. When we look at the full moon in Gemini, it squares your sign, Virgo, and it's in the 10th house. So there's going to be some challenges with regards to, I think, something to do with this writing project, a proposal you've got to put together, some facts that you've got to put together. Now, Virgo, you're the ultimate sign for picking out the right information and presenting it. So when in doubt in November, say, I know this is the right information, and I'm going to tell these folks that this is the right information, listen to me. But you may have some resistance to those above you. The 10th house here, it's your career, right? So it could have bosses saying, oh, really? Are you sure about that? I think this is some big writing project of some sort that you're going to have challenges at the workplace to put it all together. Now, it could be that you're doing a great job putting this proposal or this book together, or this course even together, and then all of a sudden, you know, someone in your workplace says, yeah, but I've got these 3 other projects that you need to work on right now. And you say, look, I can work on them, but I've got to do this one first and finish this first. But it may involve you negotiating when you're going to do those other projects too. That'll involve communication or writing. Doesn't mean you can't have it. If it does happen that way, Virgo, right off the bat, make sure at the beginning of November, you make it really clear to those that are controlling your career that how much time this is going to take up, and give that information to them so that when they want to dump more stuff on you, you've already given them the heads up that you're way overbooked. And then you can reschedule those things for later. Take care, Virgo. All right, Libra. So Libra, this new moon in Scorpio falls in your 2nd house. Wow, this could be a new source of income for you come in. This could be a new way of you valuing yourself. Libra is all about balance and harmony. So maybe you're going to find a new job that you can do and earn income that puts better balance into your life, right? So I would really seek out, Libra, if that's been the case for you. There's such supportive energy around this new moon in Scorpio to really put energy into getting some income into your life that provides you better balance. Maybe you've not been able to balance your books. Maybe you've not been able to balance your life because you're working overtime but still not making enough money. Here is this opportunity to make some more money. Yeah, and I mean, Scorpio is associated with money too. So look out for those opportunities. Look out for jobs that can do that. Don't hesitate to apply for jobs, right? And I mean, literally, Libra here can represent the law. So for those Librans that maybe are having to work behind the scenes with regards to some kind of maybe diplomatic effort of some sort, you could have something enter in here where a new job is presented to you as a result of you being diplomatic. But behind that is you trying to seek balance in your life. The full moon in Gemini trines your sign, and it involves your 9th house. So the 9th house is a lot of things. It could be for some Librans that you finish up a trip that you've been going on. It could have you literally publishing your work. So Gemini is writing, and the 9th house is publishing that writing. Congratulations if that is the case. The 9th house also rules higher education, so there may be some Librans that actually are, publishing their thesis, getting it accepted. And still others, it may be a final tie-up in some kind of legal associated matter. And I can tell you, Libra, that it's all about communications. So, pay attention to communications at this time because you could wrap up a legal case favorably. It's a trine, right? It's going to go in your favor. The other thing is you could be involved with foreign places, foreign people at this time, and maybe you're going to be part of a group to do with putting together some writing project, some kind of communication type thing with people that are either foreign or that they are in foreign lands. And I'm thinking, again, sort of like this, putting together a communication program for, say, computers in your company that has an overseas subsidiary, and you're working with other people to make these all these communications work well together. This full moon could represent the wrap-up of all that successfully for you, Libra. All right, Libra, take care of yourself. Okay, folks, well, that wraps up my take on November. As always, I would love to do your chart. Everything is below to communicate with me. I'm wishing everyone the best of luck here in November. Hopefully it's going to be a more settled month for most folks after we finished those 2 eclipses, powerful eclipses in October. Stay tuned for my December 2023. I'm also going to be, from the looks of it, with my subscribers, probably doing my first live YouTube. I'm thinking sometime in December if I keep getting subscribers up to the 10,000 mark. It's almost hard to believe 10,000 subscribers, but thank you very much for everyone that has subscribed. It absolutely means everything to me. So stay tuned for that. I'll also be doing my 2024 year ahead pretty soon. I'll try to do that in November and get that out. But yeah, keep an eye out. If you're subscribed and hit the bell, you'll get notification. Lots of love to everybody. I'm wearing my little heart necklace here. That's a pink stone to send love out to everybody, and lots of happiness too. Take care, everyone, and bye for now.